Assalamu alaikum, good evening, and a very warm welcome on this very warm Good Friday evening. In our studios today, we have a lady, young lady. She is a fashion buff, studied fashion designing, College of Fashion. She attended from 2006 to 2009, 2000 to 2006. She obtained a BA honors in fashion photography, and in her own words, I write, direct and edit audiovisual content, as well as photograph, illustrations and design pictures. She is a visual storyteller. Welcome to the show, Inshra. How are you today?
I'm very well. Thank you so much for having me on.
Not at all. You have been on the show before, but I don't remember when.
Oh, it was quite a while ago. So much has happened since.
Right. Inshra, you have been doing a lot of things. One of your recent work is a film, 2009, isn't it? 2019.
It's a short film.
Yes,
it's called The Singing Teacher. Yes, that was my very first short film that I did.
What is the repair job?
The repair job is the recent one. Yes, it's the one after. Yes.
But they're both 2019.
No, 2018 is the repair job.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So, tell us something about yourself. How did Inshra Russell came into this very tough, very competitive profession, and then developed into you have moved from fashion photography to illustrations and editing and making short films.
Yes. Well, I grew up in Dhaka. And growing up, I always wanted to be a white American male rock star, or a blonde, white, blue-eyed princess, because that's what was there. That's what I saw. And it was when I realized that I'm not any of those things. And I got inspired by a fashion designer, actually, Bibi Russell. Yes. She was a Bangladeshi woman who went abroad and studied at the London College of Fashion and studied fashion design. And I wanted to, and that was so much closer to who I was.
Yes.
And
she was on the cover of Vogue.
She was a model for a while, and then she came back to Bangladesh and she started working with all the craftspeople in Bangladesh, to hone in all the crafts and the fabrics and things. So she was the inspiration behind me going and studying fashion photography at London College of Fashion.
And was she your mother-in-law then, or no?
No, she wasn't. She was just Bibi Russell. I was in awe of her and everything that she represented, because she really made the Bengali identity feel cool, feel like something that you wanted to be part of. And I loved that.
And you became part of the family.
Absolutely. Well, yes, she happens to be my mother-in-law now, but she wasn't then. And it was because of her, someone like her doing what she did, that inspired me to apply and go to London College of Fashion. And I studied fashion photography, and I realized that it was images, making images, telling stories that I was particularly passionate about. And yeah, so growing up, it was always like, I've always been really inspired and influenced by artists like, David Byrne, musicians, David Bowie, David LaChapelle, photographer, and then I realized that they're all called David. Yeah, they're all like
all the Davids.
White American men who are called David. And then I realized that that's not me either. So, but I mean, that's what the mainstream is, a lot of that. So,
well, there was an inherent desire to become famous, successful, and acceptable everywhere.
There was a desire to express stories, to tell stories, and to find a way of expressing creativity through different ways, whether it's through fashion or through storytelling or through films or through illustrations. It's just visual storytelling, which is what I was interested in.
Did you have any training at all in photography in Bangladesh?
Yes, I went to Pathshala. I went to Pathshala for a few months, and that was my first. It was amazing. Drake and Pathshala, they're an amazing platform to know about photography. There's so many great photographers and photojournalists that come out of Pathshala and
we
Drake.
are honored to have Shahidul Alam also on this chair.
I'm sure, absolutely. And also, I mean, the photography festival that happens in Bangladesh, it's just wonderful, the one that happens in Dhaka, which is part of DRIC.
Right. What was your first real professional work?
Well, I graduated in fashion photography, moved back to Dhaka, and I worked in an advertising agency. So my first real professional work was creating campaigns, being part of brand campaigns for Akij and soft drinks and stuff. And it was a wonderful time because I was amongst all these other creatives, and we were making like graphic design. We were designing all these campaigns and doing crazy things like underwater photography and just experimenting. So all of that was my professional stuff. And after that, I started doing advertising campaigns for Arong, and that was a really big stretch of my work, my professional work. Was I kept doing advertising campaigns for Arong and Taga, their sister brand.
Right.
And it's a great platform because it's a way of telling interesting stories, but through fashion, through clothes, and also things which are close to our culture and our roots. So yeah. That's what I did.
You were talking about some pictures that you have drawn or you probably have shot. And
yes.
Would you like to
share
it with our
Yes,
viewers?
absolutely. I mean, I've done many, since 2013 till about 2017, I did a lot of Arong's different seasonal campaigns. So each of them have been different, and some of them incorporate illustrations, most of them are just fashion images.
Yep.
So
of people and places?
Of people in places and sets. It's all about different sets and locations and props and how to make the clothes look good.
For those people who are not aware of what Arong does, what is it?
Well, Arong is part of BRAC, which is the largest NGO in the world, and they do ethical fashion. They do they do everything. It's like the M&S, it's the Marks and Spencers of Bangladesh.
Right.
They do clothes, homeware, everything you can imagine.
Heavy furniture.
Yes, furniture, rattan furniture, they do everything. So anyone who goes to Bangladesh, who goes to Dhaka, will go to Arong to get their things. They also do books.
Is it Arong a success story?
Oh, absolutely. It's a success story, and in fact, it's also because Tamara Abed, who is the main person behind Arong, she came in many years ago and just like injected all this great work experience into it, and really made it what it is today. So.
Is there any other business house that competes with Arong?
There's a lot of smaller companies like Shopno, and there's a lot of other, but I don't think there's anything in the same level as Arong. And also they're very good with their payments. They're very straightforward with the people who they work with. Right. If they place an order to someone, they will make sure that they pay, and there's no complications there. So that's very good.
They've caught up with the consumerism.
Oh, yes.
Craze.
Yeah.
Could we have those pictures, Hassan Bhai? And could you just explain what are those pictures about?
I'll wait to see them come up. Oh, those are the illustrations. These are not the Arong pictures, but these are illustrations that I've worked on. The fashion photography pictures will probably come up next. Right. These are my recent illustrations that I've done for different projects.
For books?
For books, yes, for books that have been published recently. That is a book cover that I've done for my own book. These are the Taga pictures. Those are the Arong pictures. So this is for Boishak, and this is a campaign that I did for Boishak. We had some really interesting props like boats and just getting the clothes to look like they're in movement, and just using really bold backgrounds and having fun with the rickshaw. This is back to Taga. This is where we've incorporated some props into the pictures, some words as well that work with. This is the sub-brand. It's for a younger female audience. This is back to Arong for Boishak. Yeah, we were just having fun with like just local props and local, just a local cultural feel.
Do you use any particular color? I see red is very prominent.
Yes, red is prominent. Red and also yellow. I mean, it's all about the bold colors. This one was with an interesting location. It was a little bit away from the city. Yes, that's exactly right. And they're all crumbling, but so majestic looking. So we went there and we just did a whole bunch of photos with these crumbling walls and peeling walls. It was a really nice contrast to the amazing embroidery and work that Arong does. We had some crazy children on board for those. We also used kites and just, colored gels to see how it reflects with these graying walls. It was a nice contrast to the colorful clothes. That's back to Taga. We just did a lot of, this is very digital. It was like we had to remove a lot of things from these pictures to get them to look like they're floating and flying. But it was a fun shoot.
Right. That was very interesting. Tell us something about, I read somewhere that while you were driving, you contacted BBC Radio London's Eddie actor.
Oh, actually they contacted me. Really? I wasn't driving. I just got a phone call. I was working on an illustration on a book, and I got a phone call from BBC London, and they said, "Oh, you're in our system as a diverse story author and illustrator, right. And would you like to speak to Eddie Nestor's on Drive Time, and he's talking about diverse stories, and can you come on the show? It's in 5 minutes." And I was like, okay. So it was very sudden, but it was good.
And you mentioned the topic was divorce laws and living with parents.
The main topic of that show was divorce laws and living with parents, but in the middle of that, there was a segment which was about diverse storytelling and the importance of characters who are non-white male, characters of color, and the importance of that in reading for children, in children's publishing.
Right. And it went on for about 40 minutes or something?
The program went on, but this segment was a very short snippet in the middle of that. Yeah.
What you had to say about that?
Well, he asked how I felt about diverse storytelling, and this is a subject which I've been involved in a lot ever since I wrote and illustrated this book, and got into the world of children's publishing with my friend who lives in Oakland. And that was a really interesting segue into this world, and the importance of seeing characters who represent us and not the other, that inclusion, the inclusion of everyone, which is much closer to the an accurate representation of society.
Characters like Superwoman.
Well, Superwoman is very cool because she's just a woman, but yeah, I mean other things as well. I think it's just an inclusion of all types. Like we all have different stories, and the platform should be such that everyone gets to tell their story, not just one kind, not just the Davids, not just one sort, not just the white American rock stars or the blonde, blue-eyed girls. There should be everyone.
And after all these years, how much do you think that you have been able to break that barrier? You'll be going to break, but just a sentence.
That is a good question. I think it's constant. It's something that we're doing all the time. We'll talk
about this later, but we'll just talk for a little while.
About breaking the barrier. Yes. I think it's something that everybody feels at the moment. It's not just me, it's everyone. Everyone feels the same way. And so long as we all connect with each other and support and encourage that, it will definitely break that barrier much more, and there will be so much more diversity if we really understand that that's what we need. Just one statistic is that in 2017, it turns out that there's only 4% of the characters in children's stories, only 4% was like Black, Asian, minority, ethnic, BAME. Only 4%. That's nothing. But if you look around, especially in a place like London, there's so many types of people. So that should be coming in much more.
We'll talk about it later. Thank you for being with us, and we need to take a very short break. Don't go away. We'll be back soon after this. Thank you.